Hey, Phantom. Real fun when you make all those masks.
I hate it.
Oh, don't be that way. I love making Jason masks.
I don't care. Leave me alone.
Look, I made this one so I could go unalive a bunch of people.
Don't say I'm alive. That's stupid.
Well, fine. If that's the way you're gonna be, just forget it. Forget it.
Welcome back. We are doing a zombie Roy today. And you may remember a couple videos back, we already did this mask, but this one's a little different. No, it's going to end up looking something like this. And we're using a top-notch ghosty for this one, because the mask needs to be bigger. It's a bit bigger than the other ones, because it's going to be going over a Roy Burns hood. And I took the liberty of dremeling and drilling it already. Nothing too special there. And of course, to give it a little sanding on the inside and outside. And I've painted it blue on the outside and inside as well, just to go more with the Roy theme. And I've sprayed an heirloom white over my top secret chemical here that blocks the spray paint. Much better than the glue I was using or the tape. And you can see I've already started putting scratches into the surface here, mostly with the sandpaper. Really like chipping the paint away from the eyes and the nose. And this is going to be a fun mask because there's no real reference. We're just kind of making a fun mask. So here I'm scoring the mask. Scoring is a lot different than chipping or scratching. Like a scratch would be deep. When you score something, you just really lightly let the blade glide over the surface. It puts these really hairline, thin scratches in there you can just barely see, but to me it makes a big difference aging the mask. And I usually go wild on the tip of the nose because that's the area that would make the most contact and be worn away. Super cool that somebody bought one of these already. Shouts out to Travis. And before I start painting it, I definitely want to sand it down as much as possible. I'm putting some deep grooves in here with a coarser grit. Just around the vent holes. You see this mask is already looking pretty aged, and we haven't even started painting it. That's what I like to do. Now most of this video is going to be the painting. And I don't have that much to say about it. I think you just kind of let the tape roll, as they say. And we'll give you an opportunity to just watch me work without me yammering on about it. Of course, the chevrons go on before the painting, because we want the paint to build up on these. It's definitely a weird chevron placement for these ghost variants. I'm sure a lot of people see it and say, why are the chevrons upside down or whatever? But that's what makes it a variant. I think it looks really cool. Looking good. And our favorite color, Hooker's green. This is going to change our blue, make it a slightly different shade, but also give it that like moldy look. I think I ended up putting a little of this Hooker's green on the chipped away areas as well. Yep, time to start sponging on some paint. It's kind of crazy how much yellow ochre and gray paint we're putting on here, because later the mask really doesn't look that yellow. But I think indoor, no matter how much lighting I use, something always just looks way saturated with the paints on camera. But in real life, it doesn't look this way. It's a lot less yellow. Looking good for our first layer. This is how it looks outside. And now we're going to put the temporary chevron on the forehead. Personally, I don't think anything looks goofier than red and blue chevrons together, but thankfully, this one will be gone before you know it. And this is really just here to block the next few layers of paint to create a little ghost chevron, which normally I don't use, but we're getting creative with this mask. So this has become my favorite color to work with, the burnt sienna. It's very transparent. And when you wipe it off, it really does look like dry blood. And I tend to use this color for spotting and streaking and just in a few little spots. So I mentioned the color is transparent. And this is something I learned when using oil paints a lot, is that each color is technically a different consistency, and some of them you can see through better than others. And you really have to keep that in mind when using paints. Acrylic paints are the same way. At least they have been in my experience. And usually it tends to be the yellows and reds that are more on the transparent side. But transparency goes a far way with hawks, especially when you're going for subtlety. This has kind of become a signature of mine, the rust dripping out of the vent holes here. Or not the vent holes, the snap attachment areas. Of course, you don't want that to show up too much, so tend to blot it away as much as possible. And now, since I've been given artistic liberty with this mask, I'm pretty much just using a combination of all the techniques I've learned for all the masks and employing them in different areas. And you can't tell yet, but a lot of things that end up on this mask, they share a lot of characteristics of the 2009 reboot. I end up doing a lot of chipping, and well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. See, my hand is kind of like shaking around. It's basically because I don't like my brush strokes to look like brush strokes, so. And I hate to bring him up again, but I actually learned that from Bob Ross and his crooked little dead branches. It's one of those times where a shaky hand helps. So you can't even see what's happening here. I swear I'm not like geeking out. There really is paint coming off the brush. It's just very watery and really speckly, so you can't see it on camera. I really like how this dirt pattern creeps up on the forehead, but it doesn't go up over the top of the mask. You see how the colors, as I group them together, the darker ones get more centralized, if that makes sense. You want your dark to be in the middle when you're blending, and for it to gradually, the gradient should get lighter as it expands. So we've definitely gotten more into the dry sponging. I start out with the wet sponging and it just gets drier as it goes. And that's what kind of smooths out all of the wetter paints. It's kind of funny looking at it back. It looks like I'm doing nothing. But you just can't see what's coming off of the sponge. But at this point, I have utmost control over this painting process. What? Oh, don't do that. Oh my God. Yeah, we don't have time to clean up messes right now. We're painting a mask. We don't think about stuff like that. Does this mean it's done? Because it's looking pretty done. No, of course not. We want it to be a lot dirtier than that. This is Zombie Roy we're talking about. This is going back to the dark color like I was saying, getting more centralized. If I put too much of that dark color on the side here, you just lose the effect of the dirt building up. I suppose those are the kind of details you could make with an airbrush, but I just haven't started doing that yet on masks. I probably will someday. I'm afraid it'll make me lazy. Actually, I've kind of broken one of my rules here and I've gone back to the wet sponging. That paint is wet. And it's real risky to do that at this stage because you can scrape off multiple layers of paint if you scrub in the wrong direction. And if you get a scrubbed off area at a stage like this, it's going to look terrible. Even if you put paint over it, it'll be obvious that there's a little clean spot on there. So typically I don't use wet paint towards the end. And if you are going to put wet paint on a mask in the later stages, I recommend letting all the earlier stages dry completely. Like, they might feel dry and look dry, but acrylics can take a little while. I mean, at least an hour or something to make sure that wet paint is safe going on top of it. Whoa, look at that. Now that could be a disaster normally. Well, it looks like I actually want these splotches I'm putting on there right now. It's making it more like a ghosty. This is still a hybrid mask after all. And we're going to be honest, I don't even like the way it looks right now. I've gone a little overboard in certain areas. And the next few stages are going to involve blending all that in. Let's see how our ghost chevron looks. It's a bit much, but we still have a lot of dirt to go. So we got a wet Q-tip here. And we're just going to scratch the nose. And I really want to go crazy on this part, which is also how the end scene, part 5, kind of looks anyway. Not that this is supposed to be that mask, but let's not overthink it. Just has to look cool. Getting a little more detail with the chipping now. You know, after making a few masks like this, I gotta say, having the artistic liberty to just go crazy and do whatever you want, it's a lot more fun and it's a lot easier than making a replica. I love doing replicas, don't get me wrong. But that's more of a discipline. This is more of an art. So the Q-tip alone just left some Q-tip shaped holes in the paint, and it just looked kind of amateurish. So I'm basically making those more detailed and more scratched looking. And we got the scratches extending all the way up through the ghost chevron onto the forehead. I like that pattern. You can see we've scraped all the way down to the blue paint underneath. So let's take a break from the painting and get into the straps. Starting out with some typical Roy stuff here. This is different how I made the other straps, which were more of a never hike alone style. These are going to be like a Roy Burns strap, but with the 5 connectors. I don't know if it's totally necessary to do this part, but it makes me feel better that these won't unravel or something. So I started with some measurements from a typical Roy Burns straps. And I have to add this extra piece, as the nylon can't loop and continue onto the bottom strap. So I had to add a second piece that's going to connect. And I've lined these up next to the mask just so we know how wide that gap is going to be. I think it's about 4 inches. I kind of like to just build the strap in place before I connect everything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't want those to be too flattened or not flattened enough. There should be a nice tight connection so as close as possible to the buckle. Design ended up working out well. They're a little loose on the top though, so I end up fixing that later. So before we connect anything, I'm just going to put the rivets in and just kind of put the mask on my head and see how it feels before we go committing to this, because these are permanent. And this is how I fixed that loose problem. We just stuck another rivet in, and that keeps it from bouncing around. It's like a wildlife show around here. I think these animals and stuff just gotten used to me like making noise and sitting here making masks all day. Oh, so I'm weathering the rivets by just scraping them on my asphalt here. And you can just put some sandpaper on your rivets, but I like the gouges to be pretty deep sometimes. At any rate, you gotta do something or else it's just gonna be too smooth for your paint to adhere to. Now I'm mixing up like a copper patina color. Which I don't know if that kind of color even builds up on like bronze or whatever it's supposed to be. I'm pretty sure it's just on copper. Whatever, it looks cool. I could be wrong. Maybe bronze builds up a green patina. And this is my super high-tech device that I built to hold rivets down while I paint them. It's a pain in the ass holding on to little rivets with your fingertips. And now to semi-destroy the nylon. I like to just get every corner and cut it. There's no easy way to do this part. And the nylon was looking way too new, so I put a dirt color on there, and man does that look realistic. Looks like some 1980s nylon strappage. Straps are looking good. I put some of that patina color on the buckles. Definitely looks all right. And back to painting. What is some dark mud that has gotten stuck into the nose cracks? Just seemed too bright and clean there. I kind of like the idea of the paint getting scraped off and then just layers of stuff getting caked back on. So we really want something to look aged. Whatever weathering processes happen, they're going to happen again and again like the seasons. And you basically are building those layers, and it gives it like a visual history, if you will. It's looking way better. Kind of just cramming the paint into those gaps. This is a little crimson because I've decided I want some blood on this mask. And for some reason I decided I just wanted a little bit in the center of the nose. And I think this is actually the coolest artistic decision I made on this mask, because blood being on a mask, like the more random it is, the more realistic it looks, I think. Like, why would it be in some like visually appealing spot, like on the cheek or something, or the forehead? Like, I don't know. I just think it looks cool. This tiny little bit of blood dry to the tip of the nose. At some angles you can see it, and at other angles it just kind of disappears. It's like a broken, bloody nose. So we're doing some eye nylons, which I think for now on I'm just going to call eyelons. And we're going to foam this one up too. Want this thing to be functional. It's going to be used in a video, or a short film. And finally, to attach the straps, 1, 2. And that keeps it nice and tight. Any further and it'll look dented down. One, 2. Perfectly straight strikes. And that is almost done. Of course, we got to put some prop blood. This mask has already been sprayed and clear coated long ago. So we are free to put just a few little drips of prop blood on that nose area. And on the inside of the eye. This is really painstaking because I don't want to drip any of this on the eyelon, which would ruin it. I don't want to have to remove the eyelons and do them again. So I'm being very meticulous here. It looks like I've gone completely insane, which I think actually is the case. As this part should have only taken a second. A couple little flicks here. With something about this mask, it was giving me a bad case of jarvitis or jarvosis. I couldn't quit staring at it. Honorable mention for this video is this weird little fucker. Not sure what he is. Comment below. We're done. Playing with that focal length. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. I will be back with more mask videos. I swear on the life of my firstborn child. We've got all sorts of stuff coming up. We've got the Freddy vs. Jason regular mask. We got the part 3 coming. We've got some fun, controversial Kane Hodder part 8 stuff coming. Yeah, you know how it is. I'll be back. Peace.